Start.
It's being recorded. All right. Princess, let's go.
Hello, sisters. Welcome to Sestra 1000 Woman Campaign Finance Committee. My name is Diane Mullings, affectionately known as Sestra as Princess. I am the team lead for Savings Team, and Angela Edwards, Talisha Lopez, Carol Midwinter Faulkner, Angela Steele, and Renee Blackwood. Tonight, presenting alongside me will be Flavia, Carol, and myself. We'll be doing part one of Reclaiming Your Financial Power, subtitled Building Your Rainy Day and Emergency Fund. So I'm going to share my screen to start. So here we go. 1000 Women Savings Campaign, Reclaiming Your Financial Power. Before I get started, let me tell you a little bit something about myself and the team. I'm a graduate of Rutgers with my bachelor's in accounting. I graduated from NIC with my master's in organizational leadership. I've been working in accounting for over 25 years plus. If I give the full amount, then I'll give my age, and I don't want to do that. Carol has a degree in human development and concentration in social psychology. She's been working for a company for over 25 years with a diverse responsibility, which includes global meeting and global meeting planning logistics. Talia, she's an assistant analysis, and she works at Midland Credit, and she attended Central America Adventist University. So those are the three people that will be presenting tonight. So we're going to have a financial breakthrough. And before we start, I just want to make sure everyone has a pen and paper, or you have your phone, something that you can take notes and write down, because this will be interactive. So here we go. As I've already introduced ourselves, is the name of our speakers. So as I've learned, the best way to learn is knowing what you're doing, learning what definitions mean. So what is savings? It's an economy of a reduction in money, time, or another resource. 2, the money one has saved, especially through a bank or investment plan. First and foremost, saving money is important because it helps protect you in the event of a financial emergency. Additionally, saving money can help you pay for large purchases, avoid debt, reduce your financial stress, provide opportunity to invest, leave a financial legacy, and provide you with a greater sense of financial freedom. Saving early can help you unleash the power of compound interest on your savings. That's because when you start saving early, your money has more time to grow, allowing it to benefit from compound growth. Compounding can help your money grow in most cases far beyond the amount you originally invest. Well, some might say, based on their age, I don't have time for compounding. But not to worry, you still have time. There's still hope. Just have to start today. So here are a few questions I want you to ask yourself. And this is where the note-taking starts. Why do I need to save? So I needed to actually write that down physically. What am I saving for? What's the purpose? Is it beneficial? And for whom? What's the end game? You can start on a very small scale, emergency savings, short-term savings, or long-term savings. On a medium scale, you can be saving for travel, future, home, a dream, but you need to remind yourself of these things periodically. on a larger scale, which is what we all aspire to be. College fund if you have children, or if you have grandchildren coming up. Medical, which we all have that. Travel, your house, for rainy day, vacation, emergency fund, and definitely retirement. All of this will give you peace of mind. When you have all these things in place, it reduces your stress level and give you peace of mind, which also protects your health. So it's beneficial all around. Remember, the objective is be disciplined. Normally we say we take our income and we minus our expenses, and that's your savings. Whatever's left over, that's what you save. That's incorrect. The first thing you do, you take your income minus the savings of whatever percentage that you choose, and whatever is left over, that's what you use for your expenses. Put savings first. So now we're going to start with our amazing tea. So now again, get your pencils, your notepad, or your phone, your smartphone, whatever device you're going to use. How much money do you have saved in your savings account? Based on this chart here, less than 1,000, 1,000 to 4,999. Go down the scale and pick which one you have right now. And based on this, you can rate it based on the chart that you see here. And that means in doing that, this should be untouchable. That's something that you save for whatever you're going to use it for later on. It's not that you can go into it and just, oh, I need this for food, or I need this for that. No, it's called saving. And we're going to discuss budget tonight. The difference between rich and wealthy and why it's important to save. The rich have great jobs and great profession, mainly because their children go to college, they know someone within the industry, so when they come out, they have a job lined up for them, or they'll do certain, sometimes they do certain internships at certain places because they have a connection, so they already have a job at times lined up for them. So when they get out of college, they go right into it. The wealthy, their money works for them while they're home or on vacation, on the beach somewhere, or traveling, or at an art gallery, doing whatever they want. Why? Because they own stocks that brings in dividends, they own bonds, they own real estates, they own commodities. Their credit score is in good standing. This allows them to make purchases without having to use down payments. They also get lower interest rate or no interest at all. Few reasons for not saving. These are some of the excuses that we at times use. I don't make enough money. I have too much debt. I can't help myself. I'm a spender. I have difficulty setting and keeping goals. The failure to set a budget, or the inability to set a budget. And the biggest one, the lack of discipline. With all of this being said, we have to be realistic. We have to also exhibit some of the pitfalls and the stumbling blocks that hinders us from saving. As you see in this diagram here, with all the holes here, what we tend to do at times, we take from Peter to pay Paul. We use one credit card to pay for another credit card. And we keep digging ourselves into all these little holes. We need to stop that. In order to eliminate the negative, we have to identify them and find ways to execute and eradicate them completely. We're going to change that mindset by one, introducing creative ways to budget, utilizing discipline, getting accountability, a spouse, a family member, or a friend, needs over wants, setting priorities or goals, provide practical tools and steps. Now, there's a few steps to follow. Before you put together a saving strategy, before you can achieve your goals, before you can reduce your expenses, you need to have a plan. Budgeting can improve your life. A budget helps you prepare for emergencies. A budget lets you control your money instead of it controlling you. A budget also helps you create extra money. Some suggestions budget limits. We all have rent or mortgage, unless, of course, you're a younger person who lives at home with mom and dad, and you don't have to pay rent. So this may not apply to you now, but in the future it will. So you have a jump start, which is good. So it'll be 27 to 36% of your salary. And you can take the percentage off your net. Savings, 3 to 10% of your salary. Food, which we all need, which is 15 to 30% of your salary. But also remember, pay attention to discount. Also, you can go to certain clubs, BJ's, whatever the wholesale place, and it's worth investing into because you also can save from that. Auto insurance. Oh, I skipped utilities, sorry. Utilities, 48% of salary. In utilities, there's also different ways you can save it that, which I'll go over later. Auto insurance, 2 to 3% of salary. One tip I can give you, now that we're in the pandemic, we're coming out of it, so to speak. And a lot of people working from home right now. If you have a car, call your insurance company and let them know that you're not traveling anywhere, so that your car is only used for leisure, and you will get a discount. Also, if you have AAA, or if you go to a college that supports that, I know for Rutgers, I can get a 10% because of my affiliation as an alumni. If you are in a sorority, you can also get a discount. Just call the insurance company and find out what do they offer so you can get a discount. You can also, I think they offer, if you take a class, defense driving class, they also offer that, a little discount. So you can just check that out. And if you mortgage and you have the auto insurance with the same insurance company, you also get a discount. So it's worth looking into. Debt payments, 5 to 10% of your salary. You need 2 to 10 save for your emergency fund. I'll read that one again. You need 2 to 10% saved for emergency fund. Don't wait till the emergency comes. Start now. You also need about $2,500 for Life Happens Fund. Life Happens Funds means something just come up out of the blue. You can say, oh my gosh, I was not experiencing this. Where did this come from? It just hit. It happens. That's expected. But when it does, you're prepared for it. It's never about what you want, but what you need. So again, I need you to get I'll give you a second to get your pen, paper, or whatever you're writing with or you're using. And we're going to use this acronym, Make It Smart. So what I need for you to do is write down one financial goal you wish to achieve. I'll just give you a little second to write that down. Okay, I think you should have that. Now, what you wrote down, make sure that you were specific. Make sure it was measurable. And as it says here, write it down on a piece of paper, but I don't want you to write it down on a piece of paper, because guess what? We write things down, put it on a piece of paper, we stick it here, put it there, and it magically disappears. So I need you to be intentional by putting it somewhere that you can see it, that you can go back to it. So I needed to be intentional about that. Also make it attainable. And I use an example, saving $40,000 for down payment on a home by 2023. It doesn't have to be that grand of an amount. It could be anything that you desire, anything that you feel that you want to achieve. Just make sure that it's attainable. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, because then you'll fall to it and then you just give up. So don't put yourself through that. Make it relevant. Put together a plan for how you plan to address this goal. And one of the key, time-based. Make this your assignment and be intentional. The key word there is be intentional. Now, there is this exercise that I put together that I want to do with you. Can you still see my screen? Oh boy, it's not working right now. Okay. I'm not sure why this is happening, and it's not going to the top of the screen. Here we go. Now, there is a saying that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Therefore, you must have a plan. I have a little philosophy that, and I know I may be aging myself again. If you don't have a tangible plan, it's just a pipe dream. If the dream is not transformed into a plan, it's a fantasy, not a reality. I'm not sure how many remember the show Fantasy Island, but that was a show. Everything was strategically planned, and that fantasy can be real or not. However, this is real. So therefore, you have to be intentional. You must have a plan. Questions to intentionally ask yourself. What's the reason for not being able to save? Was this your first time learning to save? What steps have you taken towards savings? What steps are you taking to make this a habit? What derails or hampered your success to save? Is it something that you have carried forward generationally? And this cannot be used as an excuse. We're in the age of technology now where saying I don't know is not going to work. That's of no relevance. Do you find that when you save, something happen and your emotion gets the best of you? For example, you something happened, you go shopping. We have to stop that. Do you find that you use your saving to assist someone else out of a need and it's not replenished? If you give a loan to someone, remember, give it to them with the intention that you're not going to get it back. Do not take out of something that you know you need it for to give it assistance to someone. Give it with the intention that I may not get this back. Few steps to start with. If it's available in your community, set up a separate savings account if you don't already have one. Find out the banks in your location that have special offers. Ensure that there's no monthly charges. Ask what the minimum balance is required. You can use certain tools to save up to whatever that amount is and open an account. Normally the banks are $300, between $300 to $500. Set up a recurring order deduction. This can be done directly from your paycheck, setting up through your payroll. If savings for specific, set a time frame for completion. And be realistic in what you want and you can afford to save. I have a little example here. If I want to save $3,000, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 15 months. If you look at the calculations here, for people who get paid monthly, like governmental people, I think sometimes they get paid monthly, then you need to save 500. If you get paid weekly, it's 115. And look how small it is if you do it daily. And the same thing go across the board. When you look at it from a bigger picture, you'll see that it's not as much as you think. So even if you have a project that you're working on, the same thing applies, same rule apply. Get an estimate, get a time frame. Always get a time frame. Never just go by this, oh, I'll get it done. Get it in writing. This way, it won't cost you, because if something else comes up, you know you're going to pay more and you won't have anything to save. That's going to tap into your savings. And please do not use a credit card unless it's without interest. Home Depot or PC Rich's, stores like that, they offer you free interest for 6 months if you have to purchase something from them. Unless, of course, you have an emergency where the air condition, I can understand that. But if you have your emergency fund, then you'll be okay. We will talk about this further in the next session, these two topics, so I'm not going to address that. But if you go to the store and you purchase something, please, I know we purchase things when we get home. It doesn't look the same at all. It has to be the lighting in the store. And sometimes we don't return it. You put it in the closet, then 2 years later, it's still there with the tag on it. Don't do that. Whenever you purchase something, the first thing you do, ask anybody in the store, what is your return policy? Is it for store credit, or you can get your full refund back within 7 to 10 days? If it's a store credit, ask yourself, is this a store I want to come back to? Do they supply things in it I would use later? If not, don't take that unless you really need it or want it right at that moment. Otherwise, you're stuck with a credit in a store that you're not going to use and you just wasted money. So the key is return it, return it, return it. Cut out cable. You're not watching all the channels. You don't need them. Why do you need to have every channel? Unplug items in your house that you're not using. We have TVs in every room. How many TVs are you watching each time? One. Plug the others out. They're there for decorations. So when you go in the room, if you go into that room or a guest comes, then you can plug it in. Get energy saving bulbs and find out what your biggest expenses weekly and monthly or annually and write them down so that you know what they are, so you can plan accordingly. This is a scale that I did so that just to give you an idea, if you choose, and it's based on net income, not on the gross that you get. So if I put $400, it might seem small, but it depends on geographic, where you are, what country you're in. Not, 400 is a lot for some people. They're not necessarily in the United States. So if this is your household percentage, that's what you're going to pay. You have to have the emergency fund. This, and this are items that you must have. It's not, I should, you must have these things. You don't have to have this. And if you have children, well, it's a given. You have to have that because you have a child. And this is also an option. So now, based on that, if you do not have children, then you just eliminate that and you notice that it changed. Okay. Also, if you don't have a charity that you're giving to or a special project, you also can eliminate that. Again, if you have no kids and eliminate that, you can eliminate that. If I think the statistics states that people do not really travel out more than 30 miles out of their comfort zone where they live in. So not everybody takes extensive vacation. I know I do, so I have to say for it. And if you don't, then you might not need this, or maybe it's less for you. It could be that. So then that lowers the amount. Regardless of what it is, at the end, if you notice how it changed, this is the difference. This is the amount that you have, and this is what you have left over for leisure. Leisure includes getting your nails done, getting your hair done, going to the movies, dinner, things of that nature. And that will take care of that. So for this, I'm not sure how I'm going to work that yet, if we can find a way to put it up on the site, or in part 2, we will have something that can also show you how. And if you go, I brought it all the way down to 2000. So my grandmother has this saying, every mickle makes a muckle, which means it all adds up. And this is just an affirmation. I desire a prosperous life, because whatever you speak into existence, you're speaking it to you. So you're speaking into yourself, because no one can speak into you better than you. So you affirm yourself. I deserve a prosperous life. Money is a tool that can change my life for the better. I control money. Money does not control me. Money flows to me freely as I move through this world. I can use money to create a better life. My finances doesn't scare me because I have a plan. So now I'll go back to the schedule. And just to affirm, to let you know, it takes 7 days to form a habit. 7. It just doesn't happen. And 21 days to maintain it. If you don't practice, you won't succeed. You need accountability. You shouldn't go to the supermarket when you're hungry. You must be intentional. You cannot put so much pressure on yourself. Please, we do that as women. We do that part a lot. And we have to give ourselves some slack, because life happens. Life happens. You need to prepare for it so you don't get stuck or put yourself in a hole, a feeling of being insufficient. Educate yourself with books such as Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Then there are other books, but that one, I like that one. And it's very basic. It speaks to you. You're probably saying, I don't have time to read a book or money to buy a book. It's less than $10 digital and less than $15 paperback, or you can get it for less. It takes 30 minutes today to read. Invest in yourself. And when you go to the bathroom, you can take the book with you. You leave it in there, and when you go, you can just read it. You can even get it audible, let it read to you. Whatever you think or have in your mind will occur. Make it simple. Now, I'm going to show you a video from our next team member, who is Flavia, who couldn't be, the tablet is on the way in the kitchen. On a personal development plan. This is on her experience and how she reclaimed financial freedom after college. Because we do this when we get out of school. We have a tendency to do that. You know, you went to school, you have your student loan, then you had a budget or not have a budget, or you don't have a plan, but you have money now. So guess what you do? You go shopping and school is finished and you just want to enjoy yourself because you're finally free. So with that, I'm going to share a video. Let me see, it's not coming through. Let me pause it for a second to make sure you guys can hear it. Sorry about that.
For most of my life, I was really like, and study shows 10 people lives paycheck to paycheck. And I'm pretty sure that you guys can relate to that too. So after 4 years of college, I left with a business management degree, university debt, credit card debts, and jobless, which it was really bad, all that coupled. But for some reason, something was holding me back on looking at my personal finances, and I dug myself so into this deep hole without even seeing a way out. But the craziest thing from all of this is that this was not stopping me from traveling, shopping, going out and spending, continuously spending. So soon after college, I realized that I had to make a change and that I had to stop pretending. So in 4 years, I was able to get a job and pay every single penny on my university debt and my credit card debt. And this is an experience that I want to be able to share with you my tools, that money and minimalism taught me. And the number one formula is spend less money than you make. Spend less money than you make. It's not easy. It's a taboo because it's hard to open up to a friend, a family member, a co-worker about this situation, because it can get a lot uncomfortable. But we have to be able to remove that ego and open up ourselves to learn. Learning is a huge process of this. And in this case, I use books. I used 3 books. Number one was Dave Ramsey, the Total Moneymaker, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the third book was Tony Robbins, Money Master the Game. And these are books that helped me a lot to increase my knowledge and, to be able to do that first step, that big step to get there. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna also enlighten you with knowledge. And number 2, we buy a lot of crap. And advertisement nowadays tells us that we need a certain item for us to feel good, for us to fit in, and it gives us that pressure. But that is something that we know that we do not deserve. We deserve to be free. And many times we put that pressure on ourselves. There's this thing called the myth of I don't have, and is where we we say that we need this certain item, for me to be able to accomplish our goals, our dreams. For example, you've been planning to go jogging and running for a very long time, but you say that you need a pair of new sneakers to start. Or you've been planning for a long time also to start this new business, but you tell yourself that you need a new computer to start. So all of these things just been procrastinating us for not starting, our journey to accomplish our goals and dreams. So will this help us? No, because it's just extending the time more for us to sit there and stay there, and this is something that we need to get out of our comfort zone to start doing that first step to the process of the change. And it takes a lot of sacrifice. And this takes me to the third step, which is, and part of making sacrifices. I lived a few years with my aunt, where during that time I did not spend money on parties. I did not go shopping. I did not go out that much because I already had my mindset on exactly what I wanted. And once you start doing these kind of sacrifices, you get to a point where you can start taking risks. And everything becomes a lot more easier because you understand exactly the why you don't want to live paycheck to paycheck, why you want to have financial freedom, and why you're doing this huge sacrifice. And it doesn't mean you're going to be like that forever. This sacrifice is just one time, because this journey is going to give us a lot of lessons so we don't fall back in that same path. And if I haven't had this experience, I won't be able to have the domino effect, to that led me to where I am at this moment. This huge experience gave me the opportunity to be financially stable, where I can help friends and family members who are in trouble. And also this pushed me to, out of my comfort zone, pushed me to do things that I didn't know I was capable of. And it gives us that security and safety. And I really hope that you can accomplish that goal, because you deserve to be free. You deserve to have a peace of mind, and you deserve to have that financial freedom.
Now I'm going to introduce Carol, who's going to give us a personal bird's eye view and her experience, about, looking at the time, about 6 or 7 minutes of her experience. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And Carol, I will change the view so that I'll pin you. So there you go. Go ahead.
Okay, so hello everyone. First of all, I would like to say how refreshing it is to be part of a group of women whose primary goal is to really empower and to uplift each other. So a little bit about myself. I grew up in Jamaica and I came to the United States around about age 22. And so much of my mindset about saving, spending, and my relationship with money were formed within the context of my Jamaican culture. So a few weeks ago, Princess and I had a discussion about the importance of cultivating a savings culture, that in order to do it successfully, we have to first change our mindset and the way we view money, as well as establish financial discipline. I know that we all grew up differently, right? Where spending and saving habits were modeled to us, and for most part, how we perceive our world is closely linked with our home culture, which helps to form the structure of our thoughts and our behavior. And so our money habits and our spending habits are really a part of who we are, and therefore they are very difficult to change. So as we talk about cultivating a savings culture, we have seen over the years a significant change in the culture as society shifted from cash and layaway plans, which and we shifted towards using credit cards. And the first credit card was introduced in 1950 by the Diners Club, followed by American Express, who introduced their credit card around 1958-59. But according to Business Insider, it was not until the latter part of the 70s, about 1978, when the Supreme Court allowed nationally chartered banks the ability to charge out-of-state customers the interest within their own bank state, and that resulted in exponential growth of the use of credit cards. So the culture of layaway plans were very common during the Great Depression of the 1930s, and unfortunately became outdated around the 1980s as more people gravitated towards using credit cards. And I think Walmart was one of the companies that continued to offer the layaway plan up until about 2006. So I grew up in a culture, a home culture, where I saw my parents took advantage of cash and the layaway plans. And when I came to the United States in the 80s, I also took advantage of the layaway plans that were offered by stores like Macy's, J.C. Penney, Alexander's, if anyone remember Alexander's and the Woolworth, they offered layaway plans, and I took advantage of that, right? But when people started gravitating more towards using credit card debt, it kind of fed into our psychology of the instant gratification. And this has really put a lot of us into debt, right? Where we strive to live up to the Joneses or to look successful on social media, to be honest with you. And so for there to be sustainable change, we have to be deliberate about changing the money culture and the spending and saving habits that no longer works for us, those habits that continue to keep us in financial bondage. And for those of us with partners, as we change our mindset, it is really important to get them on board with us, right? So that they plan with us, they co-budget with us, and they help us to accomplish those goals. I have heard of so many stories when there's one partner who is resistant to the change, and it creates additional stress and conflict in the family and in the relationship. And so as I think about having a successful savings culture, it brings to mind three quotes that were frequently used within my household, my Jamaican household. And I know that many who are, grew up in the Caribbean also heard these quotes frequently. Save for the rainy day. If you want good, your nose have to run, meaning that if you want to accomplish your dreams, accomplish your goals, whether it's your career, financial, personal goals, you have to be willing to make the sacrifice, and you have to be consistent at it. And the last one was don't begrudge the Joneses, meaning live within your means. And so these core values have really guided my thought process throughout the years. And I must admit that I did fall off the bandwagon a few times with those credit card debts, right? But because of those core values and culture of savings that were imparted to me at a very young age, I was able to jump back on the bandwagon. And so if you fail, just get up and keep on moving, right? We all fail. I remember my first job. I was about 15, and I had many plans with my paycheck, right? But my mother sat me down and she said, Carol, if you make $1, do not spend $1. Do not try to spend $1.25. Save 50, save 25, save 10, save 5. And if you can't save 5, save 1 cent in an emergency fund. And so I have been able to continue in that culture and to try to pass on the same money and spending values to my children. Cultivating a savings culture affects all aspects of our lives, right? It is very difficult to change because it entails denying ourselves a certain wants, pleasures, and instant gratification as we shift our mindset from want base to need base. Some very, simple steps, and I know Princess provided some, in establishing a savings culture. Measure your financial health, know where you're going, know how you're getting there, okay, and get a clearer picture of your spending and your income and expenses to make sure that you're not spending more than you earn. Make a budget and use that as a roadmap as you navigate to plan better, to save better, and to cut down on unnecessary expenses. Keep track of your spending. None of us want to do that, right? Because it's tedious and we don't want to be held accountable. And so we have to keep track of our spending, and that will help us to eliminate overspend. Make a target, as Princess said, make it realistic and be consistent about accomplishing your target. Frame your mindset towards saving by paying, as if you're paying a debt, okay? Also save for emergencies. Emergency happen to all of us. The best way to handle emergency is to make sure that we're consistently anticipating through savings. My husband has a saying that if you have to build a mountain and you have great boulders, that you have to carry those boulders one at a time. And so it is with, cultivating a successful saving culture. You have to put one foot in front of the other, literally, and you have to stick with it. And lastly, remember that cultivating a savings culture is not a sprint, right? It is a long, hard, difficult journey. It's like a marathon that requires strategic planning. It requires consistent execution. It requires commitment. It requires self-discipline. It requires perseverance. So all I can say to you ladies is happy savings. And so back to you, Princess, as you close out with any final words that you have to encourage these ladies to start cultivating a savings culture. Thank you. Can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I was muted. We have to change our mindset with the relationship we have with money. I'm just affirming some things. We have to repeat things. What's your goal? What's your purpose? What are your intentions? We need money to function. Decisions need to be made as to why and how. It could be for selfish reason or to get something you desire, always wanted. Charity, a sister may need some financial assistance. Saving is not just about desires or wants. Saving is a peace of mind. The first question is, what is my relationship with money? How do I respond? Do I get emotional? Or are you that person who has the Kung Fu grip? Do you have a YOLO mindset? You must set realistic goals. You don't know where to start? Just start. And there's a saying that people always use, practice make perfect. But as I've learned from a male friend, he says, practice makes permanent. So practice these disciplines and make them permanent. Now we're just open for questions.
There were a few questions in the thing. We have like 5 minutes left, but excellent presentation, ladies. I'm gonna definitely have to watch it again. And I have one question, Princess. Can you share that spreadsheet? I wanna start
Yes,
saving.
I know we have to figure out a way how to put that up so it's because it's interactive. And I know everybody's scared of it, but in the next session, we're gonna find a way to do it because it's part of the tracking. So I'm gonna find a way to how to put it because I put a formula in. So then all you need to do is plug in whatever number you have and it will work.
Okay. So one of the questions earlier was, I know that the suggested amount from rent and mortgage is that 30%, or I thought at one point I thought it was 25%. Is that realistic, especially if you live in a place like New York? That's one thing. And then another question was, I know it was answered in the chat, but if you have debt, isn't it more important to lower your debt than to save? And the answer was you do both at the same time. So if you could
Yes.
just answer those questions.
Right, you have to do both at the same times, unfortunately. And that's why if you have it written out in front of you, as opposed to just thinking of it in your head, you have to write it out because you have this debt. It's going to be there. But now you're going to have another emergency hit. What are you going to do? You're going to add more to that debt. So you still need to have a cushion. If you have $10,000 that you owe, you still have to try this, and you minimum say you want to pay down $1,000. But you still need to try to save at least $10 a week because it adds up, just like that sheet we post on Facebook. If you eat by increments, it's the same concept. And you can cut out a coffee. You don't have to get that you drink coffee every 3 hours. Give up one. You don't have to give up everything. And you could save that between $7 to $10 and save that. Cut something out. You have to make it intentional. And all the other stuff are just excuses because we're living in a microwave society where everything is, we're consumers and we are the biggest consumers. Women are the biggest consumers and we are the ones that keep the economy going. So we have to find a way to scale back so that we can stand up without having to go to something else or someone else, or we can actually help somebody else. So yes, you pay off the larger first because of the interest rate on the credit card. However, you still need to find a way to save a small portion.
And I could add to that, Princess, that we have to look at saving as if we're paying a debt, right? Where you're actually paying yourself first, and then there are other ways that you can. This is what the rich does. They use other people's money. If there is a card, if you have $10,000 or say $5,000 in credit card debt, try to get a card where it's zero interest for 12 months or 18 months. Some of those cards don't even charge you the transfer fee.
Right.
So you have to research cards that doesn't charge you the transfer fee. And I can think of like Chase Slate that doesn't charge you the transfer fee, and you have up to 18 months to pay that off. Then you can sit down and say, okay, I'm going to pay a certain amount per month to make sure that before the 18 months is over, that I pay off that debt. And so we have to be practical and intentional about getting out of this cycle of debt, right? And so savings is actually paying yourself. So even if you have debt, you still need to put away, whether it's, and I know that experts say that we should be saving at least 5% of our monthly income into an emergency fund. But I say save one. If you can't save one, save something that you're comfortable with and where you can be consistent about it. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but I work for a large corporation, right? And we actually have people that we hire, psychologists that we hire to study consumer behavior and to study words, use words that triggers you to go out and spend that money. So whether it's shopping online or you're standing in a store, you notice that now they have all those products right there as you're standing to check out, and you're always grabbing something else.
Yes,
That,
they
oh my
get
God,
every time.
Right.
you're constantly falling off the bandwagon. Another thing I tell people, I tell my kids also, avoid some of those invitations to, you don't have to go to 10 cotillions. If you get 10 invitations, sit down and decide which one it is you can afford to go to, okay? Or the dinner dances, or the 60th. I tell people, look, you invite us to the 60th birthday party. If it's gonna cause us to fall off for a savings bandwagon,
Send them a
just
gift.
your card. I'm not spending, the $90 or whatever it is to come
Right.
to the event, or going to 16, sweet 16 cotillions and write a check. So you have to be able to say, something, because I want to stay on track, I cannot afford to accept all these invitations. Pick and choose which one you want to go to.
Ladies,
Again, we're running out of time. I just have one last thing to say about that then, because I look at the time. One last thing, also with the credit card, what you try to do is, I know we use points and things of that nature. Find a card that give you cash back. I'll give you one example. I made a ticket charge for $3,700. I use a cashback card. I got $242 back cash back. So I can use that toward my card. I don't have to, that's money that came back to me. And those are things we have to pay attention to. Call the bank, call the credit cards. And that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Princess, I just want to say one thing. I want to ask a question, okay? For all of these people that are out here that have a problem with saving because they have maybe a personality, not everyone is disciplined.
Correct.
It's easier said than done. What do you guys recommend someone that has a problem? If they see the money in their bank, they're gonna take it and they're going to spend it. So what do you guys recommend for that person with the problem?
And that's why I said
Angela said
automation.
and that's why I said it's all about a mindset. And that's why I did so much in the beginning about talking to your mind, because once you visualize it, that is tangible. It's not just something in the pipe, it's real. And if you put them in front of you and say, okay, put everything on paper so you can physically see it. Because once you see it, you're like, oh my God, I'm doing this. And then you have to develop a habit. Because if you're not willing to develop that habit, there is nothing we can do. Because until you make a decision, the change will not occur. They have to be willing to want to change. And change start with making a decision. I'm going to do this. Because you can lead the horse to water, but you cannot make them drink it. They have to want to change.
Also, for instance, if you work for a company that has and I know I've used it for many, many years, that offer you the opportunity to have direct deposit into a credit union, you could tell them to take $50 a month and put in
Exactly. And it's before taxes.
$20 or whatever. But it's coming out before you even see
pay the
money.
tax.
Yes. Yes.
And you save on taxes as well.
Yes, and you save on taxes.
Okay, ladies.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. So, because time is spent.
Just quickly.
So basically, if with the whole rent mortgage thing, so if all you can afford is a room, then that's what you can afford. And people have to learn, especially young people who think that they're running to run out of the house. They have to understand that when you do your budget, when you say where you can live, think about it. You gotta stick to that, because if not, you're not gonna make it.
Yes. And that's why we have a lot of homelessness, and we need to stop that, especially for women. We need to, if they're married and then they get divorced, it costs a total difference because then now you're trapped. So we have to start from the ground up, and it's a good place to start. We just have to start. And this is just a start. Don't look at the grand scheme of things. Start at the bottom and work your way up.
Yes.
So thank you, ladies. And I'm hoping that we go back and watch the video and get something from this, because it's life-changing, and we look forward to seeing you for part 2 for trending.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.